If you struggle with shyness or social anxiety, check out our free No BS training course with actual useful advice you can do from home. None of that just get out there nonsense. The link is in the description below. For now, let's get to today's question.
The question, have you ever walked out on a party crying due to social anxiety? Answer by Charlie Sneed. I have walked in and I have walked out. Same party, too. The girl who was throwing the party was fairly popular, we'll call her Kay. She was smart, goofy, and very sweet. I had become friends with her in 6th grade, but our friendship gradually began to fade around the beginning or middle of 7th grade, and by 8th grade, I was ridiculously shy and our friendship basically became more aloof. We never fought or anything, we always got along. It was just that she was popular and had tons of popular friends, and well, I didn't. I was more reserved. During October 2016, Kay threw a Halloween party. She posted the details on her Snapchat story, and a lot of people came, mostly because she had practically everybody that went to our school on her Snapchat. The only problem was that the vast majority of her friends were very popular. At least 30 people showed up to that party. I was one of them. I asked her if I was invited, and she told me I was. That night, I got ready and my mom drove me to her house, all the while telling me to be outgoing and cool, don't be super shy and quiet like I normally was. I told her I would be outgoing, and I would be cool, even though as I spoke the words a huge net of nauseous anxiety curled up inside me. But, after having the previous 3 months to practice keeping a straight face no matter what I felt inside, I managed to smile at my mom to convince her I meant the words. And I did. I really wanted to be outgoing. I really wanted to be cool, and I also really wanted to just fit in. I didn't know what the heck made me so freakishly, unnervingly timid. I didn't have anxiety. I didn't have depression. Technically, I didn't have anything wrong with me. Why couldn't I just open my mouth and say hi to people like everyone else? I was dropped off at the party and saw a lot of people I recognized. Keyword, recognized. I knew their names and I overheard rumors about all of them, but wasn't technically friends with them. A lot of the people that I recognized were normally nice to me in school, but now they were surrounded by their friends, so I assumed they wouldn't pay a lot of attention to me. Plus, I didn't want to just shove myself unwelcomingly into their friend circle. Who does that, right? So I didn't even say hello. For the first half hour, I kind of just wandered around, lost. I hadn't found anybody to hang out with yet, and everybody seemed occupied. It was like every person I knew had 2 or 3 other friends and they just stuck together like glue the entire time. They didn't look at me. I was invisible. I didn't want to look like I was begging for attention, so I didn't walk up to them and start talking. Who does that, right? An hour and a half had passed. I was still by myself. By this time, I had begun to cry. Let me remind you, I was alone, so it wasn't like I was just bawling my eyes out like a baby in the center of everything. I sat at an empty picnic table and silently cried as I texted my mom and boyfriend. I begged my mom to pick me up, and I begged my boyfriend to try and see if he could maybe come. My mom was, as expected, angry with me. She said then that geez, like I was being weird and that I knew Kay, so why didn't I just stick with Kay the entire time? My boyfriend, also as expected, couldn't and didn't want to come. Kay wasn't his most favorite person and neither were all the other people here. I asked him to at least video chat with me so I wouldn't just look like I was sitting at a secluded picnic table staring at my phone like a creep. Nope, was in the car and didn't want to video chat. Whatever. Eventually, Kay's friend came up to me and asked me what was wrong. Instantly, I felt really bad. I felt bad because she probably thought she needed to come over and check up on me. I didn't want the attention and I felt guilty that Kay's friend thought she should make sure that I was alright. I wiped away my tears casually and told her that everything was okay, I was just hitting up my mom and BF. Something stood out to me when I did this, but my voice sounded completely normal. Here I was, sobbing, and when I spoke, my voice sounded the exact same, the exact same, as it did when I was talking regularly. I think it took Kay's friend by surprise, although she didn't show it. It surprised me. I was so good at faking my emotions that I could actually make my voice sound totally different when I was crying. I could fool anybody if I wanted to. How did I know how to do this? 2 painfully long hours later, I left. My mom picked me up, yelling at me when she saw I was crying. I was mad at myself, too, for being such a freaking weirdo. I could have had fun at that party, I could have been normal for once. But no, I had to screw it up and cry like some crazy person. Way to go me. Ever since, Eva worked extremely hard on this issue. As of today, December 2017, I am now the life of every party. Answer by Nicholas Grunt. It gets in the way of everyday life, but can be treated by rationalizing negative thoughts which circulate through the brain, such as they think I'm stupid or I'll make a fool of myself. 3 years ago I was on my way to a party. There would be drinks, music and good people. It should have been fun. But I didn't feel excited, I felt sick. Full source, From Lonely to Social Life in 27 Days. Eva battled social anxiety disorder since the age of 15. The main problem was that I didn't know what I was dealing with, and I thought I was the only one. By definition, it's a disorder in which a person has an excessive fear of social situations. Although I personally prefer my own definition, the idea of social gatherings or being the center of attention makes a person feel sick with dread. Convinced they're going to make a fool of themselves, be judged negatively by others or have a massive freakout that results in a heart attack. The physical symptoms are the most devastating: blushing, sometimes for no reason, shaking, sweating and stuttering, to name a few. If someone merely said my name, I would turn the color of an angry tomato and not understand why. Julia Sheeran, a British Association for Counselling and Psychotherapy counselor working in Cardiff, said social anxiety tends to begin in childhood or teenage years but can continue into adulthood. Social anxiety disorder gets in the way of everyday life, describes Sheeran. It is a really intense fear and it's outside the realms of what people expect from levels of anxiety. Shy and quiet are words often used to describe those who suffer from it, but the truth is much more devastating. People who have social anxiety don't want it any more than someone who has flu. It's not a choice, it just happens. But a few months ago, as I confidently gave a presentation in front of 200 people, something I never thought I could do, I knew that all the effort had been worth it. Answer by Yano Kwang. Once or twice. For anxious or sensitive people, the sense of obligation to broadcast exaggerated happiness at parties can be a real downer. I find people often target quiet or reserved people at parties to hide their own insecurity. The multitude of faces and names and complex social dynamics is a stressful thing. Imagine 30 complex adults crammed into a small dimly lit terraced house, conversation inhibited by loud music, alcohol and drugs in abundance bringing out the dark inner worlds of the attendants. This sort of event caters to a particular kind of person's needs. No shame in walking out crying if that's not you, haha.